Hello and welcome to Snide's Return, a tabletop roleplay podcast. My guest today has honed her mind and body for action. She has experienced the battle for beyond, explored the cities by night, and left a legacy that will last forever. She is more than a one-hit wonder, taking multiple shots, acting on both sides of the supernatural divide, predator and hunter. She can be found keeping sanity in check or making scores with a crew between her periods of stagecraft, stylish outfits, and exquisite cuisine. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome actress, streamer, and TTRPG roleplay royalty, Josephine McAdam. Josephine, welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness, I was not expecting what an elaborate and beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Well, it's this is all your work. I've just respun it in my own particular way. So thank you for doing so much for me to draw on.
It is my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me as well.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to join me. But before I get into some of the things that were alluded to there in the introduction, how did you get into tabletop role playing games, please?
Well, it's been a long time. I actually started when I was probably like 6 years old. My father actually DM'd my brother and I in Dungeons and Dragons growing up. So I think I've had one of the best experiences to be introduced into tabletop, and I was just very lucky. I still remember my first character, my first death. It was completely my brother's fault, and it just I just loved it. As soon as we played, we got to explore and delve into dungeons and try these different puzzles and when your DM is your father, it's like he really wants you to enjoy yourself and get the most out of it and be able to learn. And
Mm.
I think it's the most nourishing experience I could have ever had with a GM.
That sounds amazing. And so, from this early start in the hobby, far earlier than many, I would suggest. Where did you sort of consistently play through your youth and up to where you are now, or were there breaks? What was that sort of experience and progress like?
There were definitely breaks, yes. Mainly not by my choice, but because I couldn't find any friends to play with me.
Oh,
Recently it's gotten so popular, which is so wonderful to see. But as I was growing up, I think, my brother and I's campaign, I don't know, I think we stopped playing after I had my first like character death. Really shook me.
hmm.
And then I wanted to play with other friends, but just no one knew what Dungeons and Dragons was, and I'm not sure that my dad had time to GM, so then it was like trying to find, a group willing to do this. And it took a long time where I didn't play for a while until when was it? My 16th birthday, or perhaps 16th, 17th. One of those where my birthday wish, my request of all my friends was that they would come, sit down, and we were going to play a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's amazing.
And we did, and they all loved it, and that was really wonderful. And then
Mm.
I just had little like campaigns with friends on and off since then. Really,
So, are you in a home game at the moment?
yes, yes. Actually, I am at the moment. We have a home game that is every Monday night. We play over Zoom, even though we're all in the same city. That's
Hmm.
just you know after work
Convenience.
laziness for you.
Yeah.
Sure, yes, that's convenience. We'll say that. Um, and that's so wonderful. It's so different than the shows I do because it's just, we're very relaxed. We're snacking, we're in loungewear, we get distracted by some tangent topic and but it's nice, it's comfortable, and we get to explore. My DM is Chris Lockey, and he has helped write some of the books that he is pulling from for our
Mm.
campaign. So it's really cool to have that level of knowledge coming from your dungeon master.
Yeah, I was about to ask, is it homebrew or anything like that? And I guess, as you say, with Chris Lockey, it's a well-informed homebrew, I guess.
Yes, yeah, it is. It shifts and changes. We have been playing in Wildmount, and it just sort of shifts and follows wherever he wants to take it from here.
So I'm dying to ask about your character now, because home games are so much different to what we may see on Twitch or wherever,
Yeah.
and we'll get to that in a bit. So your character, please. I'm just
Yeah. I'm playing we made this character right after we had watched the first season of The Mandalorian, and I loved it so much. I was like, I want to make a character that was like heavily inspired by him. So I have a fighter, a pallid elf fighter, in fact, who comes from a very small circle of bounty hunters
hmm,
called the Honed, and they've recently been attacked. And so, like, I'm out adventuring in the world because I want to find who attacked our organization, our town, and basically they kidnapped a bunch of people. And so I'm on a search to find them and reunite them because I'm like one of a handful of them left. And so very brooding, not great with
hmm.
words, but really turned into the tank of the group. I've actually ended up multi-classing into barbarian as well. So
Nice, nice. No, I love the way that sounds. Just proves you can pull your inspirations from anywhere, I suppose.
yeah, right, exactly.
And so, when did having this birthday treat way back at your 16th or 17th?
hmm
Where did you go from there? Did you sort of sporadically play and then get? Uh, where did work, because you're an actress? Where did
Ah,
work
yes.
and tabletop sort of link together? Did one sort of take precedence over the other for a while, and did you manage to balance that quite well?
Um, yeah, they've always gone hand in hand because I've always loved to play pretend, right? And
Hmm.
both of them allow for that. And I've pursued acting, or I've been in theater since I was very young as well. I was always in every theater program at all my schools, and went to university for that as well. And um gaming alongside it was just sort of another way to sort of scratch that itch of like of delving into different characters and the framework that goes with that. I didn't start having tabletop become something I was working in until I came out to Los Angeles, really.
Hmm.
So that that came quite a bit later. And for me, I don't know, they're just not very different. I still get to I put in the same amount of work as if I were getting a role. Sometimes more work because, you don't have a script or anything. You're going off of very little when you're jumping into a tabletop game. So there's a lot more of almost coming in as a writer as well, and trying to tell a story. I don't know, they just go hand in hand for me. There's not one that overtakes the other. They just sort of support each other, I find.
Hmm. Yeah. So, uh, mentioned there you'd sort of done theatre and acting, and you've done some award nominated. So you're in the Tower. This
hmm
that was award nominated, and Hard Reset is another project, and you're working on a short film, or coming up to a short film, I believe, in the near future.
Yes, yes. So I wrote a short film this past summer with my friend Ross Bryant, who's also in the tabletop community, and is a very talented improviser and writer. And so he helped me with my first writing project, basically. And so we've written this short film, and it it is in fact about some tabletop players. So it merges all of our interests into the medium that first got us going creatively and that we're very passionate about, which is film and TV, and being able to collaborate on a set with such a large group of people really is what I love. And so it was nice to be able I just wanted to pull from what I knew. So tabletop is something I know very well, and it's a comedy horror, and you'll see a lot of familiar faces from the tabletop community that are going to be in it. And I'm very excited. We're filming in early January. We've got Jonah Ray is directing it, and we've got Becca Scott and Iffy Nawadaway and Ross and a few others that you will find out. But yeah, it's silly, it's fun, and it's just a little short that we just want to get together and create to put out there. So hopefully we'll see it in the in a few months' time.
No, it sounds exciting, and you've mentioned there's some fantastic people from the community. Becca Scott,
Hmm.
at time of recording, congratulations on your progression to parenthood.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
you have had the opportunity and the privilege to play with some of the incredible names within our community, within the tabletop role playing community. When did you really get your start on the sort of the streamed games, and how has that progression gone from sort of first appearance now through to, well, we'll touch on the many shows that you are currently in and have starred in, but what was it like getting your start and your progression from sort of stepping on to, I nearly said the stage. They're stepping into tabletop role and moving on from there.
Yeah, it was a very natural progression for me. There wasn't much forcing, I suppose, like it was already something that I had been, as you've heard,
Mm,
doing for so long. I've been playing in tabletop, so it's a very easy um jump for me to make. I uh Let me see, how far back do I go? Yeah, everything was just a very a very easy transition. So we moved to LA from Austin, Texas, and there we met and were very good friends with Ryan Day, who is like family to us. And Ryan is Felicia Day's brother. And when we moved out to LA, he had introduced us to Felicia, and I learned about Geek and Sundry. And it just sort of, they were looking for hosts as well. And I was like, well, I love gaming. And it just sort of it fell into place where I could come on and be one of their hosts for some of their shows.
mm,
Um, as it turns out, I'm not the biggest fan of being a host. and and that revealed itself eventually. I like playing characters. I like not having to be myself per se. Like I
mm,
just like delving into and making believe. And so hosting was not my cup of tea, although I got to meet such wonderful people along the way. So it was still so worth it. But at a certain point I stopped hosting, but I always told them, what if there is any tabletop opportunities, I'm there in a heartbeat because I love it so much.
mm.
And that is when they started calling me back for more tabletop stuff specifically. And I don't know what the I can't think of what the first thing was. I can't even, yeah, I don't know what my first streamed game was. You'd think I would have made a note at some point, but it's been so long now.
Sometimes milestones just pass you by before you realise they're milestones. But moving on,
Yes.
moving on from that. So you sort of, hosting was not your forte, as you've admitted. And sort of come back for these player roles, and you have, since just reading through sort of Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, you got a link to things, and we'll get to links shortly. You have played such a variety of systems with so many great individuals. What has it been like, sort of delving into new characters with new systems every so often, with great, I won't say supporting, but everybody supports each other, but fellow role players.
Well, it's such a gift to be in games with people that are just as passionate as you are, right? They're so ready to go with whatever you throw their way and will throw right back to you so much, like story to hold on to and character moments to work off of. I've just been very fortunate with the people that I've gotten to work with, and it's ever growing. I'm constantly getting to meet new people in this field, and there's so many I still have yet to play with as well. I feel very lucky. I'm really glad that I've gotten to delve into different systems as well. I find it doesn't make much difference for me as far as character choices or character um, designs that I go with. I mean,
Mm,
sometimes it influences mood and the atmosphere of the character, right? Whether it's going to be a very silly comedic game or if I know someone's gonna die very quickly and we're gonna just be making multiple characters.
Mm.
That would it kinda changes the mood, versus if I know it's a character that a system that will not have characters be so disposable. If I know it's going to be a longer term, then I'll create a more lived character with more to discover along the way. But I'm happy to play whatever system. I'm a big board gamer in general, so for me it's just like, oh, it's just a new board game, but I'm still going to play it no matter what. Like I'm just as interested. A system isn't usually what stops me from wanting to play a tabletop game. I'm happy to try new ones all the time.
Yeah, no, and I can see that as as you've tried so many, but there does seem to be a draw, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, to the supernatural, uh, and one of
Mhm.
your most sort of well-known, say, lived characters is actually undead or unlived, unalive. Uh, so, what was it like uh, becoming part of the LA by Night? Coterie is the right word, but also the wrong word in that respect.
Um, incredible, life-changing. I mean, it's been really lovely. I've met so many dear friends through it. I've gotten to explore I think so many of the games I had done really leaned into comedy and silliness, which I also adore. But I think I have more strength in drama when it comes to these kinds of like darker stories in TTRPG, and there's just so much to explore there. And I I don't know, I think I love dark stories because I think they make the really light and bright moments of life, like, shine so much more, like, when you have that glimmer of hope, when you have something good happen, it just impacts so much harder when there's all this darkness all around. You really hold on to it, and I just think it makes it really special, and so I tend to really love stories that are in these dark worlds, and, LA by Night definitely let me explore that. And it was interesting because I came in as a guest, so at first it was sort of fulfilling needs for the main cast and the story that they're
Mm.
telling, right? And I love that because honestly, I do come at this from an acting perspective first. So it's like if I have any sort of script not that there's a script, but like if I have any sort of guidelines, if I'm coming in just as an NPC, I
Mm.
actually really love doing that. Not that there's much opportunity in general for that, but I love that. I really enjoyed that. I love being able to help facilitate a story or moments for other players and characters to get to be a part of, and, it just kept evolving. It was just ever changing, really.
Yeah, no, and it's certainly had an impact on the wider family. I like try and get these terms correct across sort of the World of Darkness and the Vampire the Masquerade group and community. And yeah, it was fantastic to have watched you portray that character, and you've gone from the dark city that is LA by Night to Duskfall. So
Mhm.
uh, very different, but still dark in its own sort of way. What's it been like, sort of playing in the Blades of the Dark world that is Duskfall on the Glass Cannon network?
Yeah, it's so interesting, also very dark. Honestly, I keep making these tragic, tragic characters. If there's 2 sort of, themes that I love playing into, it's within tragedy and romance. I don't know why, I just love it. I just have so much fun. It's a genre that I enjoy reading as well, and so it's, I like to, if I'm gonna be improvising, I like to create content that I would be eager as an audience to watch as well.
Mm.
It makes it easier for me to make choices and know what would be fun to see. But Duskfall, Blades in the Dark has been so lovely, so freeing. It is, like, so open. The improvisation is incredible because the players actually do get to form the story that's happening. It is the most collaborative system I've gotten to work in
Mm,
tabletop so far. Um, we get to suggest what scores we want to go to. We get to suggest the characters that we know. It's so collaborative. It's really incredible. And you even say what got you XP at the end of a session. Like
mm,
it's really interesting, and it's been so fun in such a supportive environment. My cast members, like working with Ross Bryant, Abu Bakr Salim, and Jared Logan, is just the most supportive environment. We're always going to help each other, and to know that, every session we sit down is just a breath of fresh air. And so there's the weight. It's like a weight that's off your chest as far as getting something wrong.
mm.
But on the other hand, we're all so crazy, or just sadistic, I'm not sure. Um, we get ourselves into the weirdest situations, and we really explore these strange topics that this world allows us to, with the undead and with ghosts around, and being able to interact with them, and this like hierarchy in the city. And we've really been exploring that, and it has led us
Mm.
to the strangest places, but it's great. I never have any idea what's going to happen.
Well, it sounds amazing. But before I move on and follow a similar thread, would you mind, Josephine, just letting us know, or could you lead us to these dark places by letting us know where we can find your good self on social media and on the web, please?
Oh, yes. Well, you can find me on social media. Let's see, so Instagram and Twitter, where I'm the most active, I would say, is at JCVIM. Not the easiest to remember, but they're my initials and they're never taken as usernames.
Mm.
Um, and then you can, check out my IMDb for some of the film work that I've done. At the top of my Twitter, I actually have a pinned post where you can see tabletop projects that I'm a part of, as well as film projects and where you can find them. And there's also a link, I believe, in there that I've got a playlist of all my different tabletop shows that I've been a part of that are on YouTube. So
You do.
yeah.
You do. I
Yeah.
checked it out. It works.
Okay, there we go.
I can confirm it works. And I will make sure that all the links mentioned there are down in the description below this podcast. Uh, One of the threads I sort of, just to carry on with the Blades in the Dark Dustfall, is how is Juliette getting on?
The character, oh man. Juliette is, I guess I'll describe her a bit for listeners that may not know. She is, well, we're all scoundrels in Blades in the Dark. You're all playing scoundrels trying to get up in the ranks of criminals in the city. And she is a widow. She lost her partner in what is a quote accident unquote that happened in the sort of scientific guild that she was a part of in the past. And since then, she has, cried through the streets of Duskval mourning her. We have not resurrected, we've summoned the ghost of her dead lover. Spoilers if you're going to be continuing and want to check it out. And she has inhabited the body of one of her crewmates, and so her dead lover is there, but she's not quite the same. And so you can only imagine there's a lot going through
Mm,
Juliette's mind, and she goes through the ringer. And she's I think she's having a rough go at it, but there's this you'll just have to see if she ends up doing anything about it. I think that's one of the hardest struggles is if you sometimes getting what you wish for, doesn't exactly end up the way you want it.
mm,
And especially when that wish has led to you seeing basically sort of destroying your memory and how you saw your loved one. It's a very, very messed up situation to be in. And we're just gonna have to see how she how she deals with that in
yeah.
time.
Yeah, for sure. So that is on the Glass Cannon Network, available on
Yes.
YouTube and various social media links that you can sort of follow and support them, and by
Mhm.
in turn your good self on. And that sounds like it would test anybody's sanity. But you don't just do it in one system. You play the Calyx. Call of Cthulhu
Calyx,
game,
yes,
Calyx.
yes.
Thank you, the Calyx game, part of the Good Time Society. Making
Yes,
sure I
on
get my
Becca's
references.
yeah, on Becca
Yeah.
Scott's channel, The Good Time Society. Yes.
So, what's it like playing in that kind of more eldritch horror rather
Mhm.
than supernatural horror, if I'm allowed to make that
Yeah.
distinction?
Yeah, sure. What's lovely about the Calyx is it is again very supportive. Everyone that Becca gets on board for those games are very just wonderful human beings, and um, it's different because also we know that there's going to be an end. The Calyx, it's all sort of almost like anthology esque series. It's just little mini series where we'll do a small arc. Maybe 2 to 3 episodes or one shots of scenarios in Call of Cthulhu, and it's really fun because I think I play a little more fast and loose when I know it's going to be a mini series,
Hmm.
and so we well, first of all, I love this kind of like eldritch horror. One of my favorite board games is Arkham Horror and Mansions of Madness. So
Mhm.
getting to play Call of Cthulhu just sort of scratches that itch. I love the sort of collaborative investigator angle to it. It's like we're trying to solve a problem. And so that encourages you to look behind that door that looks really spooky, or to open the tome that is eerie and has this foreboding like doom aura coming from it. It really encourages you to look into the darkness, and because we are there to get answers, and I really love that. I don't know, I just love the genre as well. It's really fun. It's really fun, and we'll likely go mad by the end of all of it.
Well, how did you find? Because I can, I hear your love for the systems and the love for the worlds in which they inhabit. But what was it like going from player and trying to keep your sanity there to being in the role of a keeper and trying to keep your sanity there?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think I'm a much better player than I am a keeper, but it's something I'd love to explore it more. I'm a perpetual like planner. I need to have a plan, and so when confronted with bring these investigators on a scenario, it's like the amount of work that I put into characters and planning things. I guess I get so caught up with character work. That's why I like playing, right? You get to just
Mhm.
focus on one character. That when I was a keeper for what was the name of, if I could just remember the name of the scenario, but there's I had like all of these note cards of all these different characters that I could just pull from at random, but I had like prepped them all ahead of time, and um it was just so much work, and I even like I'll write down like just a single sentence of dialogue, not necessarily that'll be said, but just so that I understand like their voice and their
Mm.
tone of each character. But it's like I probably could have improvised all that, but I just needed to have a plan. I don't know why. I just it's something that's still very new to me. Being a GM, I'd love to explore more so I can get more confident in it and not have to plan everything. But I get so worried that I'm just not going to have something, or that I'll forget a detail along the way. That's
Yeah.
really my biggest fear, is just forgetting something major.
Well, uh, going from sort of concentration on both your real world work and your uh, delving into characters and just keeping your mental health in check. Do you get much downtime away from all these activities, or does sort of tabletop make up part of your sort of downtime in that respect?
Um, my home game definitely is helpful in that, it's very, like I said, it's very relaxed, very comfortable. I don't have to sort of put on makeup, put on, a presentable outfit. I can be in my loungewear, whatever. That's really nice. I do have a pretty insane schedule. It's pretty nonstop, I have to say. It is hard to balance it all between stream, because I stream on my own channel as well. So I'll
Mm,
stream video games, and then if I get voiceover auditions in, they kind of, interrupt. It's usually like, oh, I need to get this done tonight. And I go to martial arts, and then I'm also writing a feature film, and then we're in pre-production for the short film I'd mentioned.
mm,
I'm also working on a fight scene with my martial arts instructors to film that in the new year as well. So it's a bit of a constant just jumping from one to the next and back and forth. And it's just kind of the pace that it's at right now. But, you know, I do get, I just have to watch that I don't get burnt out on things. I do want tabletop to always be something that I have fun and enjoy. And
mm,
I think as I've gotten busier, that is something that I've become more strict about, sort of backing away from a lot of ongoing projects and more signing on for just, one shots or things that I know will pre record,
mm,
just because they can work better with my schedule. And so that I know I don't ever want to, it's like acting is my career, so I know that there are points where I'll get stressed out, right? There's a lot of work that goes into it, and it's
mm.
a sort of long road. But with tabletop, I don't ever want to feel burnt out on tabletop gaming. And so I've been making sure that I can shuffle things around and only say yes to certain things so that it's always a fun experience for me. It's always something that I look forward to. And this year, it really has been that. I've been really happy with keeping that in mind, and so it's a lovely escape for me.
Yeah, and with sort of available playtime, as it were, in your schedules, are there any systems, game systems, that you haven't had the chance to play it yet that you've seen and gone, oh, maybe if someone was to throw a one shot, maybe if we had a home game one shot of this system, I'd really like to try that.
Oh my gosh, yes. Right now I'm scrolling through my photos because when I was at I took a photo of a an RPG that I saw while I was at Gen Con in August. And it just looked so fun. And it's so funny because it used the same sort of D6 dice system as Blades in the Dark. And so I thought, oh, that'd be easy for me to pick up as well. I kind of know the system. Let me just find the name of it is The Wild Sea. And
Okay.
I've never heard anyone, like I had never heard of it before I came across it at this booth. It just looks so beautiful. There's like cactus people, there's all sorts of like very like nature driven characters. And really honestly, like art gets me, it pulls me in to check something out. But it's there was, like, this cactus character that was holding, like, a cup of tea or something, and that really got to me. I was like, "Oh, speaking to my heart." Let me find the way that they described it. It was, a wild sea. Let me see if they've got information on the, because I just feel like you've got to um, they've got a it's like to many mistake the wild sea for an endless sea of branches and leaves, but they're wrong. It's an endless sea of forest, of all the horrors and wonders of nature unbridled. Here in the spore-laden reach of Myconica, fungus rules the waves. And so you've got these like ships that have like saws and blades at the bottom of them because they like ride these forests, like
Mm.
seas of forests. It's just really interesting and different, and I really wanna play in it at some point.
Yeah, no, it's piqued my interest for sure. I'll sit and see if I can find any information on that once this interview is over. Uh, so that's another dark setting I'd like to point out. You've just mentioned there. So there's definitely a
Have I?
theme
I
here.
mean, I guess. It was also cute, though.
It's cute and dark, which is probably the worst kind of dark. Draws you in with big eyes and nice looking, playful characters, and then just it just does you.
It's great.
so, so what comes next for you? We mentioned the short film and some reductions on certain commitments, so allowing you to do a few more different things. But what else is in the pipeline for you?
Oh, goodness. I think I'm pretty overloaded right now. But once the short film is shot and done, then I'll be writing on the feature, and then the action scene the fight scene I'm working on will also be hopefully in a few weeks after that. I'm hoping to then plan a sort of either a mini series or a two shot or something of a game with my husband again, who we did Eclipse in the past using the Mothership system, and we just
Mm.
love Mothership so much. And we've been wanting to find the time to do another sort of like I said, two shot, maybe just much smaller scale, to just do another project together again and fundraise for something. So once I'm done with these few projects I'm working on, we're going to shift and look to that, and sort of really make it full, because he's a concept artist, and so he'll do character art and really like pour in a lot of work into it, and see if we can raise some money for a good cause and have some fun with some friends for a couple episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so sort of drawing in other people and bringing in friends, and this is a tenuous link, but we're going somewhere with it. Uh, Sort of bringing more people into the TTRPG community. How
Mhm.
is the inclusivity and the respect and all those sorts of diver- diversity and inclusivity of the TTRPG community? Where do you see it sit at the moment, and where do you think we need to go to further be inclusive?
Um, there's so it's different. I have different opinions on it when we speak about it like in show business versus as a hobby and for everyone
Mm.
to partake in. I think um, there's work to be done in both. I think we should be bringing, putting, breaking down as many barriers as possible to include people in. One of the things that I think would be great for people playing at home or anything is to really break down the need to get the rules right.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like having so much um putting so much weight on people that do, like, oh my gosh, they know all the rules, like they're an expert. Like, that's okay, but you don't need that to play these games. And I think that
Hmm.
it's such a daunting aspect of jumping into any sort of game, is like this giant book or a rule book or anything. And I think sort of approaching it and breaking down that it's okay to get things wrong. There is no right way to play an RPG, because one of the best things about tabletop RPG is its how malleable it is and how adaptive it can be to whatever someone wants at their table. I feel like it's just a framework, and then you can just adapt it to whatever works best for you all. When it comes to inclusivity in the sort of show business sides of things, there's always more work to be done. There's a lot, I think, of performative action that's happening, on social media or wherever, where you see a lot of people publicly speaking about these things. But uh, the most work needs to be done behind the scenes in the actual production side of things. I do what I can to ask for certain things when on projects I sign on to, and I think a lot of us should be throwing our weight around more in that sense of just like, we need to be more inclusive, we need to be more diverse, we need X or Y. um, and it's getting there. I feel like I get less and less pushback as time has gone, but there's still a lot of work there to be done. And it just I don't know, it's just better the more people we have in our communities.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And so moving that on to help maybe players that are coming into the games and are looking at rule books as a player yourself, and having experienced, I, I think I've got a list of at least 7 or 8 different systems you've played. Uh, what tips would you give to a new player coming in? I realize it's a personal experience when it comes to being a player,
Of course,
but
yeah.
just something to help maybe newer players that may want to pick up a game or two once they found a GM or DM to run it with them.
Hmm. I guess, remember that at the end of the day, you're supposed to have fun with this. So if you're running into something that's causing you stress, and that it's a collaboration with the people that you're there at the table with. It's not just for you, it's for all of you together to experience it together. So if something is happening, if you're running into something that is stressing you out, is no longer fun, that I would, always communicate that and sort of make sure that everyone at the table sort of understands what everyone else is looking for and hoping for, because then you can all help fulfill that for each other. And it becomes this very nurturing, wonderful storytelling medium where everyone is helping each other explore these different ideas and worlds and characters. And I just think communication and remembering to have fun are just like really, really integral things to hold on to as you jump into TTRPG.
Mm, definitely. And so, Josephine, we have discussed a lot through the course of this interview. You have achieved so much and are primed to achieve so much more. But is there anything that we haven't spoken about in this interview you would like to bring up now?
You're so sweet. I don't know if there's anything in particular. Just support your your tabletop players, your creatives that you see. The world can be a wild place to go through, and sometimes, especially in like economically difficult times that we find ourselves in and out of, it's it's hard to keep up with the time and the effort that it requires to sort of pour into creativity. But I think that it's what gives us that light during hard times and what keeps us going. And so if you could support your creatives, support them however you can. They are probably feeling the same sorts of hardships we all do, and that these people in your TTRPG games on social media that you follow are just as human as everyone else, and we all have our own hardships as well. So just try to treat everyone golden rule how you'd like to be treated as well, and to remember that online as well.
Absolutely. And so we can support you as a creator. Josephine, where can we go to find you online and on social media, please?
Yeah. Well, so on social media, it's just at JCVIM. You can come hang out in my Twitch streams, but we do a lot of just video gaming in there. I also play some piano on Wednesdays. But that's twitch.tv/JCVIM. It's very cozy. We drink a lot of tea. And sometimes, oh, actually, we're going to be doing a season 2 of New York by Night watch party in the new year, so that'll be fun. That we did season 1 this year, and it was really fun to get to watch alongside sort of in a European time zone and have that live experience and chat for everyone. And since I make an appearance in season 2, I think it'll be really fun to to be a part of a watch along and chat and see how chat likes it. But yeah, I think that's really mainly it. Social media, Twitch, yeah.
Right, I will be sending an email to your storyteller for an interview. Don't doubt that for a moment. We will be having words. It has been so much fun to be able to get you on the show and speak about it. And we haven't touched on your many and varied travels, but that's something that potentially we can discuss at a future date, because I'd love to get you back, especially after
Yeah.
your appearance in season 2, if not before, of New York by Night, and chat once again about TTRPGs, maybe even the Wild Sea if you get a chance to play.
Oh my gosh, I hope so.
So, yes, thank you so much, Josephine. As I said before, links are down in the description below. You can follow Josephine on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Just everywhere. Just, yeah. So, thank you so much. Sorry.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Can't wait to speak to you again and maybe run a game for you in the future.
Tempting.
We will arrange that outside of this interview. Right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to learn more about the show, then go to www.snydersreturn.squarespace.com. Alternatively, you can find us over on Twitter @ReturnSnyder. We have a Linktree link in the description of this episode. And if you want to support us, come and join us over on Patreon, and we also have a Discord server. Please leave us a review, because we'd love to learn how to improve the channel and provide better content out for those who are listening. Until we speak again, thank you.